in the beginning of the pandemic, women I've talked to were really in fight or flight mode, figuring out how they're going to manage work and having kids at home and caring for aging parents that were now at high risk. Women in general, everybody has been, but women have really just been tough and heroes and making all of these things work.
We don't know statistics for Iowa specifically yet, but we do know that our unemployment rate is at 3.1% as of last month. And we don't know how many women have just altogether dropped out of the workforce and are not reflected in that unemployment rate. Iowa women have the highest percentage of workforce participation rate in the country, tied with Minnesota, which means we have more women in the workplace here in Iowa than any other state in the country. Specifically here in Johnson County, 76% of our women are in the workplace. We need that female perspective, a diverse perspective in the workforce, because spreading out economic equality throughout our communities means that nobody's being left behind, and it also adds to our GDP, right? So if you're looking at it from a business perspective, when you have everyone participating in the workforce, if you have everybody educated, trained, engaged in whatever industry that they're in, that means that we are thriving and we are growing as an economy, as opposed to if we're leaving a whole segment of our population out of the equation. And this is not just women, this is diversity in the workplace. But specifically for women, we find that when women are in the workplace and they are able to grow and thrive in their careers, that money gets translated back into their children, and children then thrive and grow.
The friends of mine who have kids and are working, even though they may have very, very supportive and very involved and engaged partners, I would say 100% of my friends took a very strong majority of child care or teaching responsibilities.
Is it that the couple thinks that she's better at it, that she's better at cooking and that she's better at helping with the homework, so they have some kind of negotiation, and he says, well, I would do it, but you're just better at it, honey, than I am.
I'll give one example. When I was sharing with a male colleague and kind of telling him before school started, I don't know how we're going to manage this, just sort of venting to him, and he's someone I'm close with. He was like, well, can't you just work after the kids go to bed? And I was like, yeah, I can, if I never want to sleep.
We mainly think of school as a source of education, and it certainly is. But for children who are especially under the age of 12, it also is a place where we know that they are safe and cared for while parents work.
We noticed that affordable childcare was one of those issues that really wasn't being addressed. It wasn't being amplified. It was still seen as a woman's issue as opposed to an infrastructure issue. Childcare is about $1,200 to $1,400 a month in Johnson County. So we set up just a network that we were calling neighborhood nests. So the nests were nurturing every student together safely. So these were sites throughout Johnson County for school-age children where parents could drop their kids off and know that they were safe, they were getting logged on. Likewise, we also set up a neighborhood nests scholarship fund for the youngest kids to go to child care providers that had so much space now because children were being pulled out of childcare.
And very early on, we set up a kind of a concierge service for healthcare workers that were in need of childcare. So at that time, in March, April last year, we had a lot of childcare centers in the area close. Parents were uneasy about sending their kids to childcare because that was another big thing. It wasn't just access, it was also kind of that uncertainty about the risks of sending your child.
It could be that women who took time off when they look to re-enter are going to have to start lower.
People really understand if women choose to take time off to take care of their kids for a period of time. And I don't think that excludes women from ever getting a job again by any means. But those are hours or pay potential that you've lost to do a really noble thing and really important thing. And then there's also the retirement component of just, if you're in a job that contributes to your retirement, that's a period of time that you don't have those earnings as well.
COVID has shined a light on the fact that women do a lot of extra work in the family that they are not paid for and not recognized for.
Words of encouragement that I would have for moms, especially young moms right now, is just take the pressure off yourself. I think that there are an older generation of women in the workplace that are advocating for those young moms. My kids are 19 and 16, so I have spent a lot of time thinking about what would it have been like if my kids were 2 and 5 or young kids. And I think there's a lot of empathy out there for moms. 2022, when we're all back in the workforce, I think that there is an older generation of women that are really going to grab a hold of this issue and pull women up and say, okay, we had a rough go of it, and now let's get back to work.